Okay, so the common question we get is what camera to use. I know some of you are using just screen capture software, which is totally cool. Everyone should have something just due to the fact that we all have devices right now. Hopefully everyone has a device that they can get access to. One of my favorite YouTubers who I haven't really been watching lately and hasn't really put out stuff is Casey Neistat, and he has a saying that's basically, the best camera is the one you have access to. So he shot everything from like Nike commercials to daily vlogs, and he'll use like five or I don't know if I'd say five, but usually at least like 2 or 3 different cameras in each vlog that he does, because if he runs every day, so he'll use his phone if he's out running. Otherwise, he uses the Canon 70D. Oh yeah, his airplane views. Yeah, he does a lot of drone footage stuff. He does a lot of vlogging is really his thing, but he also teaches a little bit about filmmaking. That's what makes him interesting. And he actually was in Milwaukee a while ago doing something. He does a lot of kind of stunt related things occasionally, and so he did something at one of the, I think there was a mall or something that's abandoned that he did some type of interesting thing with. Anyways, so again, the best camera is the one you have access to that's available at the time. So again, these are other options. All right, so when I started making videos, this is what I used. This was my first video camera. It was something like this. I can't remember if it was RCA. I tried to remember, and I probably still have it because it was my parents'. But it looked basically like this. We recorded straight onto VHS tapes, which are basically obsolete now, but you can still access them if you need them. And then once I had it filmed, this is how I edited the video. There's no way really to edit it once you put it on the tape. So literally what this is, I assume everyone kind of knows what a VCR player is. Can you actually, real quick, can you guys see my mouse if I move it around like this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. So that way I can demonstrate. So you would put your VHS tape in here. You would connect it to this VCR, and then you would connect this VCR to the TV. And the reason why I was connected to the TV was only so you could see what you're doing. So you literally would go in here, and this is one of those things where I think 1,000 kids across the world kind of came up with this on their own, because it wasn't like I had the internet to look it up. It was literally, I thought, okay, we're recording stuff from our TV to a VCR, and we have 2 VCRs. Can I record another VHS tape? And it's like, oh yeah. So then what I did was I would play it, hit record on this one, and then when I wanted to stop, I would just hit stop on here, rewind it to the right spot, stop it here, rewind it to the spot where I wanted the edit to end, find a different tape or find a different spot, and then record. And then eventually I realized, I could pull out this audio cord and hook my stereo into it and add sound. There was no way to merge sound with the speaking, but I could take music. So anyways, that was a long story of saying you have to use whatever you have access to, and you're going to run into weird issues. And you all are fortunate enough that we live in a world now where if you say, okay, how do I edit VHS tapes, or better, how do I use Adobe Premiere or whatever software you're using, you have thousands of people trying to teach you that for free, and then workshops like this that can help you as well. So I just tell that story as people get sort of frustrated with equipment, and it's it could be worse. You could be hooking up 2 VCRs to a to a TV and then having to rewind, this awful process. And then actually I did early animation as well using that same camera, but it didn't have a photo button, so you had to I would hit record and then hit it literally less than a second later. I would just hit record and hit it as fast as I could, and then I would do a little drawing or do a little change and then do it again. And it was just this rudimentary way of doing animation, but it was something where when I finally got equipment that made it easier, I was ready. So again, you guys are fortunate that you have professional grade equipment available to you. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about cameras. I guess big tip is audio is the most important element of recording. If you have bad audio, I mean, if you don't need the audio, then you're kind of golden in that way. You don't have to worry about it. But whatever you're using, if you have bad audio, it's gonna ruin everything. It's hard for people to watch stuff with bad audio, especially if you're like talking. So let me bring up some settings on my phone. I don't know how. I should have. We'll see how well this works. Okay, so when you have your camera setting, let me bring it up on my phone so I can show you. You have frame rate, and the frame rate is not. No, I can't find it in my menu. 1 second, and then there we go. Okay. So this, let me switch to here. Stop presentation for a second. And turn it. Okay. Yeah, that glare is going to be bad, but you'll get an idea. All right. So I'm just going to tell you the basics of frame rate, only because it's something you should know for later on. If you are using your phone, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But again, this is just something so that you're getting kind of the next step knowledge, so that when you get there, you'll be familiar with it. So frame rate, the most common ones are 24 frames per second. That's like films are usually shot at 24 frames per second. And then there's 30 frames per second, which is usually like television. And the thing about and then there's like 60, then there's 120, and there's like higher ones. And those are usually, if you're using like anything over 30, it's usually because you want to do that effect where things are like slightly slow-mo, or you might get one that shoots like a crazy amount, like 30,000 frames per second or something nutty. If you want to do that, like those channels that do like super slow-mo where you see like a balloon, a water balloon pop, and it like moves like this, right? And what that means is it's the frame rate is how many photos it's taking. So with 24 frames a second, the benefit is if you see a movie and somebody's like moving or you get action, right? There's actually a slight blur that happens from that action, and with 24 frames per second, because the camera is filling those spaces, right? So it's sort of like if you take a photo and somebody's like running really fast and it's like low light, you'll get like that blurry image. It's sort of a less exaggerated version of that. So just know that most films, if you watch it at anything other than 24 frames a second, it'll just look weird. So usually when I record on 24 frames a second. And the way I do it is I go to settings. Here's my camera. So you go to settings, and you just go on your camera, and you have all these options. Again, I wouldn't worry about it if you're not ready to worry about it, but it's something interesting to know. 30 frames. The reason why they use it more for like television is everything tends to be there's less blur. So if you have like a newscaster, you don't want any kind of like weird motion blur. So certain things, I'd say YouTube videos, you probably, if you're doing like a how-to and you're sitting down, 30 frames probably makes the most sense. But again, you don't necessarily have to worry about it too much until you get to the next level of you're just one of those things where you're just like, oh, let me try a different frame rate. Frame dimension, however, is more important. So it's actually in the same spot if you're using an iPhone. Otherwise, just look, Google it for whatever phone device. And I would say the standard right now is 1080p HD is the most common, but 4K is also an option. And 4K just means that it's literally just bigger. It's harder to edit in 4K just because it's bigger if you're using your computer. But the benefit is if you have a 4K TV, it'll show up the way it should. It'll be clearer. And so like when I was doing the VHS tapes that I showed earlier, those are in SD, which is standard definition. And so that's the only thing where, like with your phone, you have to decide if you keep running out of space. I would record in HD, but if you have the space, you might as well record in 4K. There's really no downside to working in 4K other than the videos, the size of the file gets like really big. And then, what was the last one? Okay, and then focus, right? So most phones, and again, I just want to cover this because this one you probably should know, and most people kind of get intuitively, is so if I'm recording here, I'm recording me, is if I tap, it should, most phones have it now where you focus. Again, if you're using a different phone, you might want to look it up. And I know with the iPhone, you can, if I hold it, let's see if it did it. Here, let me try it this way and get it to work.
I don't know what to say. Could you stop saying?
You'll have to look. Anyways, maybe they switched it.
I'm just gonna go to bed.
It's basically you can lock the focus, so that can be an issue. But again, the only reason why I mentioned focus is if you're using like a different camera, is you want to make sure you understand how the focus works. Most of them are automatic, but even then, you should kind of you want to just practice and use it to like get an idea, because that's another thing where audio is always the most important. But if you have like a camera that's like going in and out of focus, that can be really rough to watch. Let's go back to. All right, we talked a little bit about tripods, and I sent an email. You definitely want something that's going to keep your camera from shaking around. So you want to make sure that your camera is steady, and whether you have it on a tripod, if you're using a device, you're going to need an adapter. Hold on 1 second. All right, sorry I lost you guys for a second. There we go. If you're using a device, you're going to need some type of adapter for your tripod. Actually, I have a bunch of tripods here. So here's the tripod. Early in, I want to say I got these tripods. I have about 5 of these. And I got them in, actually let me switch so you guys can see. Okay, tip, it's important to make sure you have a camera steady when filming, right? That's super important. Also, I just realized we're not in presentation mode. That's okay. All right, let's switch here so you guys can see me bigger. Alright, so this is what I use, right? I bought these in, I think, 2005. I bought like 5 of them, and because they're metal, like when I bought them, I'm like, these are not super high quality. They have definitely some issues around the legs. I don't have to go into them because you're not going to use them, but I've been using these for workshops since, again, like I think it was 2005, 2006 when I started. I actually started with animation workshops, and so these were perfect. Usually you can get tabletop ones, so like you get the ones that are shorter. Actually, I think I have, I don't have one close by, but usually I like the ones that extend the legs, just because you're going to eventually find yourself in a situation, unless you're going to do like a stationary thing. So let's say you do makeup and you know you're always going to use the same desk, then it doesn't matter if you have stationary, you don't necessarily need ones that can stretch the legs. But usually most people in situations are like, okay, I want to go shoot outside. I need it to actually like stand up high. So these legs extend so you can do that. So definitely recommend getting that. This is my favorite adapter right now. There's tons of different adapters. So they're relatively cheap. I think these ones, it's definitely under $40, which isn't necessarily cheap, but you can get like really cheap ones. This is my favorite just because it does, like some of the really cheap ones, the ones that you get like for under, let's say $5, like they put a lot of pressure, where this one actually, it almost has no pressure on the phone. You basically have it in there and then lock it, and so now it can't come out, right? So it makes me nervous when you have the ones that like squeeze your phone. It just makes me nervous because it just seems weird. It seems like a bad idea. I've never had any problems with them, other than sometimes with my case I can't fit my phone in it. So definitely want to get a tripod. You can have other if you don't have a tripod, you can have people hold it for you. You want to make sure that if you have someone holding it for you, they're not doing a ton of like this. You want to make sure that they stay relatively still, unless you're supposed to. But again, one of the biggest issues I have when I have students who record for me for the live performances is what they'll end up doing is they'll like zoom in and get bored, and then zoom out, and then they get bored, and then they zoom in, and then it's just like this. It's unwatchable for what we need. So just let people know, like, they really need to focus on trying to stay still if they're holding it for you, and not really. Again, they can move a little bit. So if they're following the action, that's fine. But if they're like filming this over here and then that, and then like, you really want them to focus on whatever the main thing is. The cool thing about doing these like live streams is I think it helps people kind of intuitively, you kind of learn, like, okay, you want your character or person who's of interest in the center, and then you want the background not too crazy. We're kind of getting more used to it just from the fact that we have we're watching so many more videos of each other. So a good example is like I see my kids when they're doing their videos where you can like just see the top of their heads. Like, that's not really what you don't want that. You want to make sure you think about, okay, frame wise, how is this person in the center, and then you have the tripod to keep that camera from moving. All right, let's go back to here. I'm going to try to speed roll it because I think we're going to run out of time for this. Okay. Cover lighting really fast. So lighting, this guy, who I can't think of his name, had a famous saying of photography is painting with light. And that's basically what you're doing. But again, you don't have to get too crazy into it when you first start. It's one of those things you're going to learn over time. But I really want to cover real fast, lightning round style, the characteristics of light in case you run into an issue while you're filming. Okay, so photography, so lighting characteristics is direction. You can change the direction of the lighting in the sense of, shadows. Actually, that's intensity, right? Is how bright it is. So it can be too bright, like right now it's pretty good. And then you can see where it's too dark. Softness, and that's really, usually I kind of judge it by like the shadows. Again, the reason why, let's do color quick. So color is like, you can have like cool lights, neutral lights, which is kind of more what we're using, which is like a white. Cool lights tend to be more bluish, and warm lights tend to be like orangish or reddish. And so the reason why I say all these things, you could do a whole course on lighting in itself, but the reason why I say it is you might run into a situation where you get like a weird shadow, right? And it's really harsh. It means that you might just switch out your light bulb for something softer. You might put like a sheer curtain over it to kind of diffuse it, right? So I'm trying to give you like a little bit of a vocabulary. Color is actually a huge issue sometimes, where you might have, let's say you had a light over here on your right, and you had a light on your left, and this one is warmer, just because it's just a bulb you bought at the store, which I use all the time. I just, for certain lights, I'm very particular, and the ring lights are very particular, but then other times, like if you're in a room, you're not really going to control the lights. You're going to, unless you have to bring in some extra ones, but like the fluorescent lights, a lot of times those can be really yellow, and it just makes your video can look weird. So just be aware that if you have any weird coloring issues, it's your lights, and you gotta play around with it. LED lights, yeah, those are really, and a lot of the ring lights, I think these ring lights have LED in it, and those two can fit all those, but the LEDs is really bringing has changed the game in a lot of ways, because a lot of like the photographer lights that we use photographer lights for a lot of the stuff would get really hot, and so the LEDs, you don't have that issue, and you can adjust them. Okay, how are we doing on time? All right. Real quick on audio. Again, it's so important that I'm going to say it twice. Audio is the most important element of your video, and I'm not going to go into it too much, just because I'm assuming you don't have access to a lot of the fancy equipment. The microphone on your phone, just to get started, is great. It's better than any DSLR microphone. I find that the one that faces you tends to be a little bit better if you're talking to it. I think it's just the placement of the microphones, where if you shoot from this way, the microphone tends to get like a more broad spectrum of sound. So if you're by the beach, let's say, you're going to want to do this, and you want to face away from the beach, because that's going to make a lot of noise. If you're going to buy a microphone, I usually recommend, especially if you're doing like a sit-down talk type of thing, the first microphone I recommend is getting a lavalier mic, which I'll try to send, if I remember, or if you have a question about like what kind of lavalier to get, just ask me, email me, and I'll send you a link. Lavalier just hooks on here, and then you hook it to your phone. Let's go ahead and open this up. Okay. Oh, that's what this was for. We're going to quickly just cover editing, and then we're going to... Actually, let me see what else we have scheduled. Yeah, so let's do this. If you're using an editing software other than the ones named here, or you have experience with editing software other than the ones named here, can you put it in the chat? Okay. I'm just going to kind of cover each. So here's the thing with video editing software. Each one has like a plus and minus, right? Advantages and disadvantages. So iMovie's great. The biggest disadvantage is it just has some limitations. And the big limitations are, if you, let's say for example, you want to do a specific type of fade, or you want to have a little bit more control over what the editing is. iMovie doesn't do that because it tries to make its stuff super simple. And so if you're trying to do something complicated, it's not super good for that. But for most of the things that everyone's doing here, iMovie is great. Other than the other issue is that it's only for Mac. I have a couple friends who do a family who does family vlogging, and they make a full-time living off their family vlog, and they just use iMovie. So I think there's sort of a stigma of like iMovie being non-professional, but the reality is, again, use whatever you have, and it's easy, right? So they don't really do anything fancy. They just do their cutting. Everything's really about what they film. Phone apps are great, or device apps is probably a better way to put it. Here, let me switch it to this. My recommendation with that is to try several different ones and see, again, like there's one that another professional vlogger friend of mine mentioned, and I'm trying to remember what it's called. It starts with an L. Let me see if I can find it on my phone. Actually, let me do this. It's not super important, but anyways, the thing it was actually amazing compared to the other ones. The biggest issue is that it was not great for the phone because it was small, or like the phone was too small to really be useful. So let's see if I can find. I might have taken it off my phone.
The one I use is Power Director. It's on my phone.
Okay, and I've heard of Power Director I'm pretty sure that also is on PC. Okay, it's not important. Anyways, so I end up doing I literally have like these different weird, that's a whole folder just of video editing stuff. I've been really into the InShot lately for doing TikTok videos. That's the other thing with.
I use InShot all the time. It's really nice.
Yeah, the issue you have with iMovie is that I don't think there's a way, at least not on the app version, to make it the profile version. So again, just play around and you find different ones have different effects. So Adobe
use that one. You can do it really easily on regular just editing in the Photos app.
Yeah,
you could edit it, change the direction really easily.
That's a good point. Yeah, if you want to trim, you can do a little bit of editing in the video app or in your photos on your phone. Adobe Premiere is kind of like the standard, so that's what I use. And sometimes sometimes it is too complicated, or it uses up too much computer power. But I just use it just because I want to stay skilled at it. Adobe came out with a new one. I can't think of the name of it. It's I don't use, but it's supposed to be a little bit easier. I'll recommend that as well. I'll tell you the name of it when I send that link. I never really took off because they have a version where you can use it on your phone, and then in theory you could take your phone and then it will sync with your computer through the cloud, so that you could edit from your phone, while you're, hanging out, and sometimes I'll edit while I'm doing random things, and then you can go.
Yes, that helps a lot.
What was that?
Since I have a Note 9, I have the stylus. Yeah. It's just so useful when editing.
Yeah, stylus definitely would. I could see how that would make it easier. The issue I had was the after editing on the phone, I couldn't get it to work, and then I couldn't output it. And this is when it first was released, so I just never really picked it up. Oh, it's called Rush, so it's called Adobe Rush. I know Wii Video. Let me show that real quick. We're doing time. Wii Video is a good option, except for it does cost It's free to try. I think what it does is it limits how many minutes you can export. So a lot of the apps are nice in that you can try them for free to see if you like it. The problem is you don't want to put a bunch of time into editing and then be like, oh, I hate this, and then you don't have to spend money to get it. But even $5, what is it? So if you wanted to use it just for a month, it's just $5. But here's the issue: you can only publish 30 minutes of video. So if you're making a 30-minute video, you don't want to use this software. I know that I learned about it from one of my other students who does. He's in a media class, and this is what they're using now, just because it works. It works online. So I haven't used it, but just from what I've seen and what I've heard from it, that people seem to like it. So I wanted to throw out there. And again, I think you can edit without exporting, and you can kind of just get a feel for it. Oh, how do I switch back to this one? Let's go to... There we go. Okay. And then Power Director. Isaiah, do you use Ace Family? Or was that something a joke I missed?
No, because you said it was a family channel.
Oh, yeah. No, it's, I can't think of their names all of a sudden. Their big thing is, I should say, the thing that I remember about them is that they have, one of their daughters has diabetes. So, like, a lot of the family channels who do well, you'll see a lot of them have, like, something that they're actually teaching people while doing it. And so, it starts with a B. I have to look it up, though. It's been a while. Like, another family who I'm friends with is Fathering Autism. And their daughter has autism, so a lot of their family vlogs are around autism-friendly events, or like, they do they live in Florida, so they do a program called Surfing for Autism. They don't do it, but they attend it. So it's just like all these things where you get to learn about something while watching a family, do fun things. So I'll check them out here. Let me see this. The Ace Family. Okay, cool. Yeah, there's a ton of family vloggers, and they all each have their own. They each have kind of their own thing that they kind of focus on. So next week we're going to be talking about editing, and so I'd like to figure out. We were going to do a breakout, but I think we're going to skip that. Let's just talk about these. So these are for next week. What I want you to do is to film something or start your project. So those who are animating, you don't have to film something. You can start your project. If you're doing video game stuff, just at least start doing it. You don't necessarily have to use the thing that you start, in the sense of no, I should take that back. You accept the fact that it might not be perfect, I guess is a better way to put it. So the thing that I need you to think about, we're not going to do it as a breakout, is think about where you're going to film. When are you going to do it? Schedule it. Put it on your calendar. My recommendation is to take like a Saturday. So if you're free Saturday, just say, okay, I'm going to use Saturday morning to film. Or if you're doing animation, you're probably going to need like 2 or 3 days, maybe. It depends on the type of animation. The person who did it last time, I think she did hers. She said she did it like 3 or 4 hours, so it was relatively short, but she did it in the morning. I need you to think about what you need. So if you're doing, I'm trying to think of other examples that people gave. Just if you're doing a, let's see, what was another? Does someone want to throw an example out in the chat, or you say it out loud? Did we get something? Just search the random one? Yeah, I was trying to find it in the thing. Let's just say the animation again. Art compilation. So that's a good one, where you want to, you're going to do it digitally, which is smart. But if you were going to take, if you were going to show physical ones, you'd have to gather that together, right? It's basically.
I'm going to photograph the first ones.
you are.
The first one is all going to be photographed.
Okay, right. Okay, so that makes sense. So you're basically just gathering the things you need. And the reason why I put that down is because there's been more than one situation where I sat down and I'm like, oh no, I forgot I need a pencil or I need this microphone, right? So it's basically just planning it out so you're ready. Think about what you're going to film with as far as device. Do you have a tripod or something to hold it or something to lean it against? I'm trying to think of something. You could lean it against something to film. And then think about what editing software you're going to use. Okay. Oops. What was that? Hold on. Let me see. 1 second. I can't tell if I lost power. So think about what software you're going to use. And what I'd like to do is kind of we'll do this lightning round because we're kind of short on time, is I'd like to hear what everyone's going to use for editing. So let's do this. Let's stop presentation. Let's go ahead and end with questions. So, oh wait, no, let's go. Sorry, let me finish this and then we'll have some questions. So if you think of any questions, we're just a couple minutes away. There's not really much left. I just want to make sure I hit the rest of these slides. I don't want to cover 2 more things. Okay, so this week's project is you're going to film your video. If you're doing animation, you're at least going to get set up for that or start. If you're doing gaming, start recording your videos. Somebody asked me last time about getting it off of Xbox. There is a share button, but I think that's something we'll have to do separately because I don't want to. I don't actually know a lot of it, so it's probably better to have. You can set some time aside where we'll figure that out. Or you can, like I said, Google is a great on a lot of that stuff. So let's do this before we forget. Let's put, if you want to share your YouTube link in the chat, go ahead. And I'm going to try to at least check out everyone who puts it in there. If you have one that you just think is really cool, go ahead and put that in the chat. I want you to schedule some time to work on your video this week.
Could I do my TikTok too?
Say that again? What'd you say?
My TikTok.
Sorry, say it again. Oh yeah, your TikTok. Yeah, you can put your TikTok in there. That's fine. So if anyone wants to check that out, yeah. If you have like a preferred other place, I have no problem with sharing. Sort of the goal is to sort of find, like, if you're an animator, it's good to connect with other animators. If you're a video game vlogger, connect everyone together. Let me just make sure I have. Okay. Yes. Before I forget. So if I sent out a registration thing, basically I need your information. If you filled it out, you don't have to fill it out again, but we have only about like half the people who filled it out. So if you keep getting it from me, you don't have to fill it out again. I apologize because I realized when I sent it the last time, I didn't specify like, oh, you don't have to fill this out every time. We just have probably, a few that haven't filled it out yet. So I want to make sure everyone fills it out. And it's just, actually, let me put it in the chat so that people can go there now. And then before we get into questions, I want to cover 2 quick local resources. They're not, I don't know what they're doing now, but once the pandemic situation's over and things become, where you can sort of travel around more and things are more open, I want to make sure you know about these. Yeah, let me send. Okay, again, I'm going to drop this in the chat box. If you haven't yet, please fill this out tonight. Oop, I just realized people are dropping stuff and I didn't see it. Okay. So we got a couple YouTube channels. Perfect. And I'll be checking those out tonight. Let me just make sure they don't. Start playing on me. 1 second. No, perfect. Okay. So we got 2 YouTube channels and a TikTok if you want to check that out. And then I dropped that form in. And then real quick, how are we doing time? Yeah, this will only take a minute. So here is Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Okay. So this is the Racine Creative Center. They're a great resource. They're kind of shifting again because of COVID. They do a lot of like graphic designs, and that's where we used to, last year, that's where we did our workshops at, is we use their facilities. Let's see if they have any workshops right now. I think the last I heard they were doing, I think this is old. Yeah, because everyone's sort of adjusting. Yep, okay. Kind of older, but yeah, if you, once, like, you might want to stay in contact with them or sign up to their mailing list, just because you can have access to the Adobe suite. They have nice computers there. They have some DSLR cameras. They have microphones, things like that. I've done workshops with them, and I've done workshops at their facility. They're amazing, and if you're interested in graphic design and photography, I definitely you want to check them out and just stay. Again, once COVID's over, you should just see what's over there. Oh yeah, so here was a class. I think I had to leave before they took this photo. So here is a class with video production. But you get an idea. So if you're interested in art, marketing, and that kind of stuff, they put on different workshops. Then the other one I wanted to share real quick is in Kenosha. Again, they had a facility. Their facility just closed down, but they're out of the library now. So when the libraries in Kenosha open up, start looking for this. But they do. You can access. See here. There's their. They have really nice equipment. I don't know if youth can check it out, but if you go with a parent, you probably could. And I would recommend if there. I think usually you have to have a little bit of a team. You can't just like show up by yourself because you have to have somebody. Here you can see, like here where you have to have somebody working the camera. Talk to them. The person who runs it, his name is Jason, a great guy. We were actually, before COVID hit, we're going to do some trips down there because they run the public access channel there. And they have like a built-in green screen and stuff like that. So it's definitely a great resource once. Oh, and then this guy does, I can't think of, his name's Dale, but I can't think of his stage name. He does sort of where he like, they show like old horror movies that are out of public, he similar to Svengoolie, but a lot of you probably don't know who Svengoolie is. But this kind of gives you an idea what they do. So they definitely want to connect with them once the libraries in Kenosha open back up. So, okay. Is there any questions that people have?
When you at the end of the video, some videos have like there are other videos where you can like click on them. How do I put those in?
Oh yeah,
in my
that's a great channel. Great question. Let's do. Let's.
You're gonna know that too.
Yeah. So those of you who I just want to give a permission to if anyone needs to leave because we are at 5:30, feel free. We're just going to do question and answer now. Yep. Thanks, Allie. And we'll talk again soon. I'll text you and we'll figure it out because we got that big project due coming up. Yeah, I'll show that right now. So here is. Yeah. Thanks, Robin. Thanks for stopping in. Here's how you do that. So this is a video that I'm not actually going to use. You're in your, what do they call this? They changed the name. I call it the back end, but that's not what it's called. Oh, in YouTube Studio. So in your YouTube Studio, right? You cannot do it from your phone. You have to do it from your computer, and they're called end screens. And so now you come here. So the thing with end screens, so normally you would leave a little space for it because you have to, they go up to like, I forget, like 10 seconds or 15 seconds. Usually I try to leave like 8 to 10 seconds. And then you just, you can either pick one of these as a template or you can just add elements. So I'll just use a template and then I'll explain it. So, so these are basically videos, playlists, or what elements? So videos, playlists. This is the subscribe one. you have to have either a video or a playlist.
Not presenting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I got all the way into that, and I wasn't. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Here we go. Let me discard this. Let me start over. I'm gonna shut off my camera. Okay. Can you see the YouTube Studio now?
Yeah.
All right. So you have to do this on a PC. You come over here to end screen, and then here are your templates. And so the squares are basically any type of like next film or next video, or playlist, which is basically the same thing. And the circle is the subscribe button. So let's just do this one. All right, like you're limited on time. I think it's 15 seconds, but I can't remember. So here, we can figure that out now. So the video ends. Maybe we can't figure it out now. Anyways, you can adjust these lengths so they appear later by doing this. All right. Subscribe is when you have that circle. Again, you have to have one of the square things. And usually what happens is, I won't do it on here. If you watch a video and somebody clicks on it, it kind of like does this little box thing that drops out and has the little button for you to subscribe. And
if you're already subscribed, it like brings you to the channel.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it'll do the little pop out thing. So it pops out in the sense of like, I wish it would just do it. I'll show you at the end. Maybe I don't know if that'll work or not. We'll try. Okay, so profile, that's the subscribe button, and then you can switch these by just clicking on them. So here they are on the timeline, right? So best for view. That means YouTube picks what video to show. Playlist is just, you can pick whatever playlist you want. So like I can come here, click this little thing, say okay, I want to do an animation playlist called animation, or I want to do a playlist, and these are your playlists. So here you can go here and change this to, you can choose a specific video, or you can do most recent upload, which means that all of them will be whatever you most recently uploaded. I tend to do either best for view or a specific one, and the reason why is because I don't know what the people have watched beforehand. So if I choose a specific one, like let's say I do this one, they might have just watched that, and so it's not helpful. That's also why I do two though, so that I can get. Also, the playlist is nice if you use playlists, and we'll talk more about this in my other workshop. But playlists are nice because if somebody watches your playlist, they're going to watch multiple of your videos as opposed to just the one, right? If they click on this one, they watch my one video, and hopefully they'll stick around. But if they check out my whole, playlist, then they might watch 10 videos, and that's 10 views as opposed to just one view. So you want to try to utilize playlists in a logical way. Like, it has to make sense. You can't just be like, I mean, you could do it, but it's not as, like, you want to sort of make a reason for them to watch. So this playlist is all my video production workshop videos. So people who are interested in it are going to watch hopefully all 11 videos and get me a lot more videos that way. I think I showed this already. Do this.
Also, I just want to try to do it on one of my videos. As your video has an unsupported aspect ratio.
Oh, are you uploading? Okay, that's interesting.
This is an old video.
Was it shot in portrait mode?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you can do it with portrait mode videos. That's actually good to know because I wasn't sure.
Not like up and down, like the other way. Oh no, it was landscape. Yeah, it was landscape.
Huh.
It is landscape. You want me to present?
Yeah, let's check that out. Let me see if I can.
Present. Entire screen. Screen 1. Is it showing?
Yeah, it's still. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, it's on my Monster Legends when I go to here. It says your video's unsupported aspect ratio.
My guess is that it's weird that for some reason they don't do it for certain ratios.
Yeah, see? Guys, today you're doing a brand new thing.
Can you click it one more time? I'm going to try to do a quick search and see if I can figure that out. It says your video
unsupported aspect ratio.
Aspects. Okay.
Yeah, it's just
Try it.
in the
Do you have any
video.
other? Do you have any
Portrait.
other?
Yeah, I do.
Try it on one of those. Because like the normal ratio is 16:9.
Unsupported.
Huh.
Maybe because I'm making them. I did all these on my phone.
Yeah, what I would do is, are you
Oh, this one works.
editing it on any of your phones?
Sometimes, and this one
I would
works.
say if you're editing on your phone, I think it should be fine. But my guess is if you just upload it without editing it, it's probably the wrong aspect ratio. I didn't realize that was a thing because I haven't had that issue.
I edit some of them.
Okay. Even if you don't make any changes, like if you just put it through, it'll put it at if you put it into your editor and then just export it, that will give you the right ratio.
That didn't sound. It was literally just me playing some Monster Legends.
Yeah.
It didn't have any sound or editing.
No, I meant it'll put it in the right ratio because usually it's like so HD is 1920 by 1080.
But it did have sound.
Okay, so then it will only let you do it for towards the end. There's like so many seconds. Again,
Here, let me do let's see if it actually does work in a portrait mode one.
yeah, let's see what happens.
How do you do this?
Yeah, I kind of figured they wouldn't do it that way because it'd be weird to.
I have other portrait ones I can check. Let's go all the way down to the bottom of some of my early ones.
Was there any other questions on that?
I don't think so.
All right, let's do. I'll show you one more element real quick. That's sort of helpful. I have a feeling.
Yeah, I also do iCards just from that. Literally, just has iCards right underneath.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna. Well, I ended up. It just does a. Here, let me add this real quick, and I'll show you what I meant earlier. I don't know if this will work, but we'll try. So I have to save it, and then we'll. I want to see if it'll. I don't know if it'll pop up because it's my own video.
If you want me to go do it, if you put the link in the chat, you can.
No, we'll just see if this. We'll see if this works. It's not really that big of a deal. You guys can see it anyways. Or we can try it next. We'll try it next time if people are interested. Oh yeah, here. Okay. So they go over. See how that box appears, and then I can click subscribe. But since I'm already subscribed, and then it gives
Pause.
description.
Something the sharing.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you're on the wrong one. Okay. Sorry, I was sharing the wrong tab. Okay, here. So like if you hover over it, this box appears, and then they can click subscribe, and then it also has your channel description here. So if they want to read that, they can. So then I'll show you one more. The other thing is, so you have end screen. Okay, cards are those little things that pop up in the corner of your screen, upper right, and you'll kind of see in a second here. So let's say.
And also, I don't know if it's just like my channel, because I've never seen this on other channels. There's like a discussion tab now.
Oh.
Like, by about channels, playlists, videos,
I'll
home.
have you show me that in a second, because I wonder if it's a video game thing.
In my bone.
Yeah, so basically when it hits this point, this card thing pops out. And I go back and forth on that. I can look at my analytics and I need to check, but you can see like whether people are using that. But the person who kind of told me to do it, their reasoning was that like if somebody's only like 10 seconds in and they're already bored and a little card pops out and says something they might want to click, like it kind of keeps them involved. I know using them's good, but I try to only use like one or two. And basically it's here, wait, once it hits there, see that thing pops out. You can change what it says, you can kind of change where it goes. So like if I want to do one, unfortunately there's not like a subscribe one, but you can do a link. So you can do like an external link, which I've used to send people to like a mailing list. If I want to share, sometimes I use channel if I'm doing if I'm working with another YouTuber, so that like when their clip comes on, it'll like there'll be a little thing at the top so people can go and subscribe to their channel. And then again, using that playlist is a smart thing. So let me undo this, and then I'll have you, Andrew, if you want to show me what you're talking about.
Okay. this tab right here. Like, you see how there's like all these tabs where it says like home, videos, this discussion one.
Oh, in that. Okay, I thought you meant on the video.
It's just like a huge comment section, basically. I don't see that in any other channels.
Check mine.
Like, for example, if I go to like this Linus Tech Tips, I don't see it.
So I think his is called community. Yeah, I don't have one either. I think click the community tab and see if it looks the same.
No, it's not. It's like
Oh.
he
Oh,
posts
it's weird.
stuff. You find another gaming channel, for
Yeah,
example.
that is interesting.
Fortnite doesn't have it.
Yeah, I don't have one either.
This YouTuber doesn't have it.
Let me try one of my.
Let me try and find a smaller
Yeah, let me
YouTuber.
try my other channel.
Oh, yeah, this YouTuber has it.
Yeah,
He's a smaller YouTuber.
it must be a
Discussion.
thing where it becomes. I think eventually it becomes. It turns into that community tab.
Community.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it on a different one of my other channels that has 400 subscribers and it only has. It has the same thing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's probably for smaller channels. Let me check my other friends' channels. Yep. One of them has it. The other one has it. Yep. Must just be for smaller channels.
And I think it's one of those things where like they roll things out. So for example, I think I'm close to it, but to get to a certain size to where people can become members of your channel.
It's like 1,000 for community
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And, like,
yeah.
and a bunch of watch hours.
Oh, you're talking about when you become a YouTube partner?
Yeah, that's what I think it is to
Okay,
get there.
so yeah, YouTube partner is 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, which is like 240,000 minutes of watch time. So it definitely takes a while.
Yeah, that's what you have to do to get like community and
That makes
stuff.
sense. Cool. Did you guys have any other?
So I know. We check this channel, see if they have it. He doesn't upload anymore, but
Yeah,
I'm
he's got
sure-
a community.
yeah.
Yeah, he's got.
Yeah. He's got a community. He doesn't upload anymore, though. So, yeah, I unsubscribed from him just because of that. I used to watch him all the time, though. And actually, he lives in Wisconsin, too.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. That's like.
Arcade Jackpot Pro.
Do you know where in Wisconsin, or at least like the area, like northern Wisconsin or like southern Wisconsin?
I have no
Okay.
clue. All I know is he went to Action Territory once.
Oh, okay, cool.
All I know.
It could be like northern Illinois.
No, he always says that he's from Wisconsin,
Oh, okay.
so I think he's from
So
Wisconsin.
he's probably from southern Wisconsin then. Cool. Awesome, man. Here, let me stop the video